Hold up.
Yo, 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 yo.
Yo, sorry, I just got like this text in a group chat that's pretty
Mm-hmm.
dope. And I think if it's the fan club, y'all know y'all can watch UFC 298 with Bianca and Montez. They
What
got
do you
like a,
mean?
so it's like a luxury thing. You can watch UFC 298 in a luxury suite with Bianca Montez. They like selling this.
Oh,
Ooh.
Oh,
nice. For
yeah.
auction?
No, it's like the on location group. So that group that do like
Oh.
all the luxury stuff for the PLEs,
Oh,
they're doing
yeah.
one. Yeah,
That's
they're doing one with
cute.
Bianca and Montez. My bad. I know it just jumped the shark,
No,
but I
I'm
figured.
glad you brought that up because I've been curious to see how they were going to start to merge WWE
Mm-hmm.
and UFC because it's something you
Hmm.
never thought would happen. So that's very interesting. I love that. I can't get enough of Bianca and Montez. So
I know, right?
I'm like
It
all
just
the way
always
here
win
for
me the
it.
hell over all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I just finished the
Always.
binge and I was just like, y'all are too cute.
I
Like,
love them.
him at 4 in the morning is me trying to get up for work, minus the singing. So I was like, yo, I love, like, and I say I love him, but like that just made me adore him 10 times more.
Aw.
Like, he's so fucking funny.
He is. He's so
He's
charismatic
hilarious.
and positive.
Yes,
And Trell is right. I would
need it.
love a season
Season
two.
2.
A season two would be good. So it's an 8 episode docu series, and I like that it's on the road to WrestleMania because we're also all on the road to WrestleMania. So that was a good um
So
timeline
eight
for it.
episodes and what, like an hour each?
Half an hour.
Half an hour.
Yeah. So
Oh,
it
so
starts from
that's a quick
Rumble.
binge.
Remember, it was a
It's such a
pilot.
quick binge.
That's a quick
Yeah.
binge. All right, so I know what I need to do Saturday because I've yet to see an episode, but obviously we've been busy in these streets, so this has been on my docket. It's like cool
Yes,
Saturday.
and that's what I like most about it too, because like it's like appointment view. Like you're like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna take a Sunday. I'm gonna binge all 8 episodes, and we did in like a few hours, Brian and I, and we like recapped it right after we watched it.
Loved y'all recap,
Mm-hmm.
by the way.
Thank
Loved
you,
it.
Thank you.
Loved it.
thank you. I
I
appreciate
appreciate that.
that. It was on
Hmm.
Bianca Montez's Instagram today. I
Yeah,
did
I
not
saw.
expect that to happen. So that was
I'm
pretty
giving light
cool.
skinned Carmelo Hayes vibes. Yes, rest in
Absolutely,
piss to all my ops.
absolutely.
I don't got no water today. I don't got no water. That's what he
Letty
said.
is
He
in the
said rest in piss
building.
to all my ops.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but the
Liddy
rest in
King.
piss, like this is how we
That's
start
what
the
he
show.
said.
Like, hi there,
Rest in
people.
peace
Rest in piss.
to all
Like,
my
god
ops.
damn,
Yeah,
Seindole.
that's the
I'm
vibe
morning.
today.
I'm in mourning, so I need you not to come for me today because the gun's
Oh,
loaded. Okay, we're not
oh,
going
I'm
through
sorry.
this thing. I
Yeah.
love you,
You're
but
grieving.
I'm grieving.
You're grieving.
Okay.
I was excited for the turn. I was ready for it to happen personally.
But how it happened
So
was cinema, so
it
I was
was.
happy with it.
It was. And I cannot wait for
Whoop that
Who gonna
chick.
do it?
Whoop that chick. What?
Uh huh.
That. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Trick
Yeah.
Willie.
see, we was just
I
giving
like it.
Booker his
Oh.
No,
flowers
ain't no
on our
Timon.
commentary appreciation night, and then this big moment, Booker T ain't there.
That's what Trick
What's
Shimon.
lost.
up?
Hey Noah.
Ain't no Timon.
Hey,
Yeah,
I'm a
oh,
Wade
Shimon
Barrett.
specialist. Let's go. Thank you for that, Wade Barrett.
Wade Barrett.
what y'all rate
I
Wade
like it.
Barrett? Because Booker T said he gotta get his cadences right.
He was, you know what?
Yeah, he was trying. He
He's
was
not.
trying.
He's
Probably
vanilla
last
season.
minute.
That's all. He's vanilla
Mm,
season. He did the vanilla way. I appreciate him for trying to get involved.
Hey.
That's all. That's it.
mm,
I appreciate him though.
Yes, we
mhm.
appreciate it. So we're back for fan club. We are here with the crew every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, and it's our wrestling club. Tonight we are honoring Bayley. It is Bayley Appreciation Night, and I am such a huge fan of Bayley. And her winning and her road to WrestleMania is going to be bomb. So I can't wait to get into our first impressions of Bayley, what our favorite moments, matches, all that is. She has such a long story career, and it still feels like it could be just the beginning. And that's, I think, what I love most about her. Hey, Rakarsha. Now, as we
Rakarsha.
officially start. So I want to jump into Bayley, but before that, of course, I want to welcome everyone back to the fan club, all our VIPs. I want to welcome anyone new to the fan club. Welcome. We are talking all about it is Yamala Day.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
girl, it is Yamala Day. Matt in the building, of course. Yes, the GOAT is Bayley. Able to find my Grand Slam t-shirt.
I love that.
The one that they sold after she won Money in the Bank, because she literally became a Grand Slam champion. And I was like, okay, this is perfect for me to wear tonight, because Bayley, she added another thing on her resume. So I love that for her. I'm so excited for her. So before that, I want to give kudos to Seindole for hosting another dope Watch What Happens NXT last night, and the Vengeance Day pre-show, which was a lot of fun, and it made me really excited to watch the PLE. So if you don't know, our new show on the TWG network is What Happens NXT, hosted by Seindole B every Tuesday, 6 p.m. and PLE pre-shows.
Yes.
Better way to pre-show NXT than with Seindole B.
Yep. I like that. Justin put it in a note.
You see what I did there. You see, Jay-Z went to the Grammys, and all of a sudden, oh, you know. So make sure we here. All I'm saying too, this is so unrelated, is do not play Little Kim around me and Seindole, because literally become a fucking concert.
Son, when Vaughn was like, I was given Little Kim vibes, like dressed in all black, like the Omen.
Yes,
they already know.
I thought about what I saw.
Already know. But yeah, it was a great episode yesterday. Shout out to the same people in the chat were there yesterday. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Also, big shout out to your better half and my scarf, Mr. KRISTA B, who dropped by. It was a good show. We dropped a lot of good points yesterday. The recap is on both my channel and TWG. Recap with us.
Yes, make sure
you're on the road to stand deliver.
Make sure you subscribe to Seindole B's channel. I mentioned Brian and I's Love and WWE recap on YouTube. Check that out as well. You know where to catch Justin on Tuesdays and on True Hill Heat. KRISTA B just did another School in Sessions, which you can find on Patreon. She also dropped a sound off. So yeah, I know my girl loves The Rock. 2 sound offs. So you know my girl loves The Rock. She has been just trying to see him ever since, like, ever. So she's going to be doing a lot of sound offs on this Road to WrestleMania, because there's just so much debate, and we're putting the Cody and Rock debate in the box for fan club.
Yeah, I ain't doing this again.
Yes, we're not doing that. But she's going to be sounding off a lot. So make sure you subscribe to our Patreon. It's $1 a month to support, to get all of that exclusive content. Also announced we're doing a Becky book club. You know, Becky Lynch is dropping her memoir, The Man, Not Your Average Girl, March 26th. I'm so excited. So we'll do a virtual book club, like we did for the Bella Twins book. We'll have discussion notes and questions. I'm trying to get Stephanie Hypes to join us, because she's probably the biggest Becky Lynch fan ever. But it'll be really, really fun, because I want to know everyone. I miss book clubs. Like I'm a book girl, and wrestling books are probably like my favorite thing ever. So it was really cool to be able to get together with other like Bella Twins fans and talk about the books. So I cannot wait to do that with Becky, and it seems like it's going to be a phenomenal story. She wrote every word herself. Mick Foley mentored her on the process. I'm very excited about it. So that's also exclusively on Patreon, but it is free. So just sign up. We drop content all the time. We're very excited about everything that's happening. A new pop culture episode just dropped today as well. I talk about John Cena's new movie with Zac Efron, which looks like really funny, called Ricky Stenicki. Like, I literally been telling everyone about it. I'm like, you gotta watch the trailer.
It sounds cute,
right?
Really cute.
Zac Efron's a part of the wrestling family now, because he, had that Oscar-worthy role in my opinion, in the Iron Claw. They got so Rakasha is a hashtag Bella Club OG, because it started everything. It kind of preceded fan club, because it really was a way to have friends. What's up, Brian?
Nah, you just reminded me of something. I meant to tell you earlier. March 26th, the weekend of March 26th, the Iron Claw comes out on Blu-ray.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, and it's dropping on Isn't it dropping on HBO Max? Isn't that the streaming platform they chose?
Did you say Max?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the platform they chose.
I knew it's been a day, but when you said Iron Claw,
I remember now.
Yeah. But yeah, check out that episode and buy some merch, support the crew. So I don't want to take up too much time. How about we take a very quick break and we'll get into our first memories and of Bayley, because tonight is what? Bayley Appreciation Night. Yes, you idiots.
I
So
love that.
let's get it. Oh, I'm gonna be doing Bayley isms.
Oh,
all
she's gonna be
night.
acting like ding dong.
Yo, it is my night. It is truly my night. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll get into everything Bayley. This moment, especially, it was in front of a crowd, and she came in as champion. And even though this is Bianca's moment, and Bianca, if Bianca didn't win, I would have been like, "What the hell?" It was still, I think, a moment for Sasha, for her to be self-realized, like different gear, like everything about her, the confidence. Of course, she had to have an entrance. But this moment for me is probably one of my favorite Sasha moments. And I was trying to find a photo of Sasha's face and her and Bianca getting like emotional before the bell rings. And I think for just Black girls, Black women, shout out to Black Rosslyn who got us the hoodie, the sweatshirts with the moment on it. But it was significant in so many different, ways. And then this being the second match that main evented WrestleMania.
Look for the first Black females to do so.
Yes, exactly that. Love that episode.
I love how you put in her bestie.
I know, right?
I love that.
I know. I was thinking
Goat.
I was thinking too, because I honestly feel like when I try to rank the 4 horsewomen, I really am more and more wanting to put Bayley as like number 1 sometimes, just because I truly feel like she is so underrated as a performer. Maybe not so much now, but I think just when you think about, because you have like the Becky Lynches and the Charlottes and Sasha and how polarizing she is, and Bayley sometimes I feel like gets lost in that. They used to say it was Becky that got lost in that, but I really think it's Bayley. But her moveset, her mic skills have grown. Like, she has the entire package, in my opinion. And I can't honestly remember my first memory of Bayley. So I would love to hear from you guys, just coming from different perspectives as fans. Like, when was the first time you guys discovered Bayley? Did you always see her potential?
It's funny that Matt is bringing up AJ Lee, because I'm literally watching the Elimination Chamber where AJ Lee went up against Cameron. And I remember when I was watching AJ Lee, they're like, "Oh, AJ Lee's going to be on NXT." So I was like, "Oh, I haven't watched NXT. I missed like maybe 5 episodes of it." And I remember Bayley was just starting, like side ponytail and hugging everybody and everything. And Bayley had interrupted her in an interview, and she was like, "You're really nice. I'm a big fan of yours. I don't see why everybody's calling you crazy." And she was just like very innocent with her approach. Like, she kind of silently killed the end of it, and she was like, "I'm really glad we have a match tonight. Hopefully when I beat you, we can still be friends." And I was like, that was such a slick jab. But it was genius. And she was like trying to come nice, and she hugged AJ, and AJ was just like, "Did you call me crazy? Did she just insult me and compliment me at the same time?" I have to be nice to her and teach her a lesson in the ring at the same time. So their one-on-one was probably like the first real interaction I had with Bayley. And then I started. What year was that? AJ was champion in 2000. Yeah, so yeah, around because it was actually 13, because AJ's reign had started 13, and then the next year she left. And then it's cool because AJ had actually, the last merchandise that AJ Lee wore was a "I'm a Hugger" shirt that Monday after Mania. So after that, I was like, I kind of I liked her, like the funny on NXT. She always drew me with the whole funny, and then Byron Saxon gets the credit for going the fun and happy relatable balloon characters, and they will wave like gas station shit. And I was like, this is so cute. Like, she's given the element. It was really for the kids.
Yeah.
But then when she got in the ring, she got busy. So you kind of attract me with that.
She sold right.
She sold it. She was one of the only ones at NXT to hold the gimmick, like when they were trying to get back into the having in-ring talent and gimmick portion of it, and she held it very well. She held it for a long time.
She did.
Up to the main roster. I give her full credit for that.
I would say I feel like my first memory is probably around the same time, but I'll kind of pivot a little bit and say one of the moments that sticks out to me in the early part of her career is when Triple H was doing one of those pressers, or he was talking there was some media, and he mentioned how Bayley was his daughter's favorite wrestler and how he couldn't understand it. And this is before obviously she became a 5-star ring general and before she was champion. But I remember that, and I was thinking like, okay, that's interesting hearing that she was his daughter's favorite. Mind you, this is before Izzy Mania and all that stuff. So that was like one of the things that I kind of like. They kind of like really like made me pay attention to her.
And for me, I will go back to a moment that we all talk about ad nauseum, which is Sasha Banks versus Bayley, Takeover Brooklyn, 2015. Because for me, that was the time where that kind of solidified Bayley in my eyes. Like when I started watching NXT, it was around when Sasha Banks just became NXT Women's Champion. That's when I discovered the Four Horsewomen. P, you were talking about ranking the Four Horsewomen. I gave up on that a long time ago because they're both just Hall of Famers, first ballot. It's basically like the 2016 Warriors, where you have Steph, KD, Clay, and Draymond all in their prime, and they all bring something to the table, and they're all just as integral to the team's wins as the next person. Whereas like you have these four Hall of Famers on in one squad, it's just not fair to rank them. But with Bayley, she was that one that was like, all right, Sasha's my girl. She's putting on these banger of matches. I immediately get the gimmick. Charlotte, that's Ric Flair's daughter, but I'm also seeing her back it up in the ring and kind of do her own thing. Sam's Rick. Becky, she kind of changed her gimmick around that point to the last kicker, put on that banger of a match with Sasha at, I believe that's NXT TakeOver Unstoppable. And so Bayley took a little bit of time to kind of catch up to me, but then that Brooklyn match was so fucking iconic. Where like, but it was Bayley basically, and it was Bayley going through the other horsewomen to get to Sasha, and then that Brooklyn match, Bayley has just as much to do with that match as Sasha, and that made me, again, I've said it multiple times on Fan Club and other platforms, that forever made me a Sasha fan, but that also won me over all the way on Bayley. And then when the horsewomen graduate to the main roster, and Triple H was very adamant on, all right, you can take the other three. I need Bayley. I need Bayley back in NXT because she's going to be the anchor of this women's division. And then leading to one of my favorite feuds of all time for the women, in Bayley and Asuka. And the storytelling that they were telling with that, it was just like, that feud also further cemented of like, yeah, I fuck with Bayley. Like, yes, she's beautiful. Yes, we always talk about Yamala, but she is a talented performer, and she just got better year after year on the mic, where it's just like, she's flawless, in my opinion.
I'm so glad you mentioned that she's flawless, because I feel like she's so good at everything that she does. And as someone who kind of wanted her to drop Damage Control a long time ago, because I think she can carry her own self, but I like the fact that she wanted to bring Damage Control up, like she wanted to work with them and that sort of thing. I think the first time Bayley made an impression on me, I guess, was when she won that gauntlet match. I don't know if you guys, I don't remember if it was for Money in the Bank qualifier or Elimination Chamber, one of them. But that one I was like, oh, okay, cool, because she always just kind of seemed like, I didn't really, I got to know Bayley more when she was on the main roster for the first time. And that feud with like Alexa didn't really do her any favors, in my opinion, or anything. So I kind of just like, I appreciate her love for the business. I appreciate that, like, her gimmick is that she's just like this uber WWE fan that's just like so happy to be here. I got it. Like, I got why kids loves her. Like, I went to shows. I saw every little girl dressed as Bayley. Like, I got it. But she was not the one I was really like checking for, kind of. It wasn't until I started seeing more and more of her potential, like after that gauntlet match, and being like, wait, there's so much more to her than in relation to Sasha. Like, she has a lot of what it takes. Like, I want to see her win, basically. And then once she turned heel, that's when I was like really, really, really checked in to her, and the personality came out, and I was like, okay, All right, because I don't think the hugger worked on the main roster. What do you guys think?
It for a little bit, I felt like it was a great transition, and I think I liked it in the early friendship-esque rivalry with Sasha, where she seemed to be on the delusional side, and then where and you could just see like, okay, this is going to come to a head. And I remember in was that summer 2018 or 17,
17.
yeah, and I was like, oh, this I felt I wanted that to be like the feud of the summer. Like we saw what it did on the in NXT, and I was like, y'all can really cook on the main roster. But I understand where you're coming from. Like, obviously we're so far removed from it, but to me it was a great transition.
See, I thought it worked on the main roster. Is just the problem was on the main roster, she came against like a buzzsaw of like anti-heroes where like Sasha toed the line. And then remember, we had 2 years of Bliss's Reign of Terror where Alexa became the most popular woman on the fucking planet in that company. And then you have Becky that turns into the man. And now Becky's doesn't matter. She's fighting face or heels. It's like me against the fucking establishment, almost like on a stone cold trajectory that takes over everything. And it's kind of like Bayley kind of got lost in the mix.
It wasn't even that only, too. You remember that year? I can think back and it clicks to me. I hate to cut you off. I'm sorry. It clicks to me. I'm watching the Elimination Chamber today and I realized like Bayley was in the first ever Elimination Chamber match and Ronda Rousey was fucking there. So when you say blurred a line and like lost in the middle, she was really at the time that they were trying to make her one of the main ones, she was really put down the middle. Like really, really put down. Just based on the star talent alone that they had in the women's division, and everything was Ronda and Alexa Bliss. And then Mickey was there as like the little bit of, I guess, nostalgia. And then Sasha was Sasha, and everything else was just her, Mandy, and Sonya don't get the respect because they were just there. We already were coming off the hype of NXT Bayley. It kind of died with that.
I feel the same way. I think I don't think it connected in the same way as it did at NXT. And I know a lot of people that would disagree with me. I know there's a lot of people that I wouldn't say prefer Hugger Bayley, but I think while Bayley was still kind of figuring out her heel turn, was kind of like, I think she should go back to Hugger Bayley. I like Hugger Bayley. I tell the story on our show a lot. I bet my dad money that because he would always be like, because he hates baby faces. He was like, do you think Bayley will ever turn heel? And I'm like, she would never turn heel. You know how much money she makes in merch? You know how many kids love her? Like, that will literally never happen. And then it did. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I know there are people that, may disagree that it never really clicked. I think it was an NXT thing. But I think the kid part probably made Hugger Bayley, like, worth anything to me, because I think she's shining more now.
See, for me, the way I would push back is go back and watch the women's battle royal at WrestleMania 34, because this is at a time where Bayley was fucking over, because that's when she finally started fighting back with Sasha. When Sasha would do her, I'm gonna turn on Bayley and end this friendship, and Bayley started fighting back, but kept it in a babyface way that people actually wanted Bayley and Sasha more than they wanted to see Alexa Bliss defend her title at WrestleMania. It got that much momentum and that much of a reaction. Remember, because I was there, so I can tell you firsthand, like, people did not care about Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax, but people were 100% invested in Bayley and Sasha Banks. Like, why couldn't that be the title match? Why do we... Business-wise, we get it. You guys love Alexa. You were not taking the title of Alexa. You wanted Alexa to have a title match, and you were invested in Nia Jax. Understood. But people really, really wanted this Bayley to fight Sasha. And that was at a time where Bayley was really over. And Mr. Redacted was like, nah.
You know when I thought that was going to happen? I thought that Bayley, and it showed shades of it, going back to the Elimination Chamber, even the prelude to it, because Bayley and Sasha were like a team. It would seem like it was more teams on teams to that first ever women's Elimination Chamber. So for me, looking at it, it was more like why are they teaming everybody together? But I get it. They wanted everybody that was involved in that roster to just get along. It was fresh off of I think it was fresh off of Paige not really being able to wrestle at the time. So there were times where Sasha would kind of make it seem like, well, this is about me. You're going to help me get back to the top of the women's division. And Bayley was kind of teetering towards, well, you know, you kind of had your moment. Maybe I could have a moment. Like maybe I can. And I was just like, yo, this baby face shit. That was when it first came out. I'm like, this baby face shit does not work. Like, girl, it worked at NXT. But no, we can't do that here. Like you gotta think. You gotta go for the goal. You're not here to hug everybody and make friends. Like you here to be a champion. And I think when she did finally turn, it took a while because while she was a baby face, she also had a lot of grit. Like she had a lot of head knockers on her belt, and she had a lot of great matches on her belt. But it was just a moment of everybody was like, all right, like the side ponytail and shit gotta give, sis. Like when we gonna get a lick back, when we're gonna become a champion.
Right. I think the moment Hugger Bayley died, or I think where it went to babyface was that I don't know, was it a street match or a hardcore match against Alexa Bliss?
Oh, kendo stick on a pole.
Kendo stick
I
on a
was
pole.
there because that was Extreme Rules in Baltimore. And when
yeah.
I tell you that crowd fucking turned on they thank God when they had Bayley cut the promo, it was backstage and not in front of the crowd because that crowd was booing the fuck out of Bayley. And but then when they came out to their entrances, they were more like, all right, cool, we're gonna give this a chance. And then that was just a wet fart in a shitstorm of a match to where we don't talk about it anymore. To where even Mr. Redacted had to come out on TV and say, like, yeah, that wasn't Bayley's fault. We fucked that one up.
That whole feud, I think.
So that feud leading to Bayley, This Is Your Life, leading into that match, that stretch is where they killed the hugger. Because you killed every single momentum Bayley had, and to where she couldn't get that back.
Yeah.
Right. You touched on something, Seindole, and that was her aggressiveness in the ring. Because even her matches that made her a household name in NXT with Sasha, with Nia Jax, there's that ferociousness in there. I think I don't see that now as much as I did back then, like where she was just like hungry and like aggressive and stuff like that. Like, how do you guys feel about how she's evolved as far as like an in-ring performer? Because she, you know, like I said, she's up against, I can't help but compare her to the Four Horsewomen, but like you're up against the lineage of Charlotte Flair, the polarization of Sasha Banks, and then Becky being just the larger than life personality. Like, where does Bayley fit? How do you see how she's evolved in the ring?
I think that, and I'm glad you caught what I said, because there was always hunger with her. And you can tell that from NXT. And the first time I really got to experience it live was, of course, that amazing takeover where they closed the show, her and Sasha. And for them to have that Iron Woman match, like that, just you can see the hunger between both of them. But again, we're talking about, you always are gonna know it's with Sasha, because Sasha was the boss. Sasha was this, Sasha was that. Sasha was one of the Four Horsewomen that people actually grew to know. And Bayley was kind of like, all right, well, Bayley's here. And that was it. That match solidified the fact that you got a hungry person in your hands. You got somebody that wants it just as bad as all the people that surround her. You got somebody that, if you put her on the main roster, she's a great worker. You got somebody that they basically looked at her and they saw Daniel Bryan potential. What do I mean by Daniel Bryan potential? They saw somebody that you could put in a match with anybody and it would work. Sometimes that didn't work, and like Justin said, I don't even remember that fucking hard. That match was horrible. I don't even want to remember that kendo stick on a pole match. Like, what the creative was just, that was uncreative. That was creative's bullshit. But when you think about putting her in any other match, like even the Elimination Chamber, like I talk about it to this day, and it reminds me in my head, because I'm just like, how are they gonna pull off the smallest of the smallest freaking women on the roster being in that big ass Elimination Chamber? And her element of it and her powerfulness made it work like poetry in motion. shaded Jeff Hardy. But it's just, you always saw that work. And I think that's why people were, like I said, I was waiting for Hugger Bayley to be done. Like, it lasted a lot longer than I thought it should have. Watching her lose to Asuka was like swallowing nails. I was like, yo, she's really getting, it was because for her to lose that way, and I understand how powerful Asuka is. I was very familiar with Asuka. Like, I was a Shimmer baby halfway through. I already knew what Kana could do. But to watch her get choked out like that, I'm like, all right, she's gonna come out, she's gonna be resilient, she's gonna be like, you know what, I gotta change. No more hugger, no more side ponytails, and we're still getting the fucking side ponytails and the inflatable. I was just like, okay, there's got to be a moment where she breaks.
So you think that would have been a good time for her to possibly pivot to like a more aggressive character?
Yes, and it would have worked. But again, they signed a specific person and then revolved the whole situation of the women's roster around her. And that also killed it. And she still put on great matches. She still put on amazing matches. Like even her feud with Charlotte Flair entertained the hell out of me, because Charlotte was like, you're testing me. I don't want to hurt you, but you testing me right now. And Bayley's like, oh, I am kicking the chair when they're having an interview, and to the point where Charlotte's like, all right, bitch. Like you test, like, I'm trying to be nice to you because you're the nicest one here. And I'm trying, but you testing me right now. That, to that extent, to me, even at that point would have broken. But I give her full credit. She stayed in character, but she still put on these hard matches to where I can't remember a bad Bayley match except for that Alexa Bliss match. I really can't.
That's a good point, because I don't think I can either. Yeah.
I hear you, Seindole, but I do like that they waited as long as they did, and especially that it happened during the feud with Charlotte, that she fucking snapped.
Right.
Especially at a time where Charlotte was just like super Charlotte. We were all getting tired of her booking. She was basically Cena 2.0, but the women's version. And that was enough to have Bayley snap and be like, I've had a fucking enough of this woman and being treated like this. What do I gotta do? Her coming out with the wacky, but then going in the stick and be like, nah, we killing all this shit. Cutting my hair and we changing all this shit up.
She walked out with some Hortanzo steel. That's what she walked out with.
Yes, she did.
You so scared.
You see the vision. I put this on Twitter.
She walked out with some Hortanzo steel, honey. She was like,
Bayley going through Damage Control and going after EO is literally Kill Bill and Beatrice Kiddo going after Oren Ishii and going through the Crazy 88 to do so.
I love that movie. Love that.
Leave it to the movie guy to put two and two together and be like, bam, it's right there for you.
Shout out to Thurman, honey.
Damage Control kicking her ass and kicking her out of the group is just as much as they're
gonna regret
divas beating up Beatrix and putting a bullet in their head.
Yep.
And even her, like, she wasn't the only one. And I can understand anybody who's just like, you know what, I'm gonna put up with this shit for this long and see where creative takes me. Because imagine how frustrating it is. Like, you can hear in the promo the day after when she was like, do you know how hard it is to wear a fucking ponytail sideways? I'm pushing 30. Like, you can hear her voice that she was like,
yo, I'm sick of this shit.
She was like, I know y'all was sick of this shit. Imagine me having to get the gel and the fucking headband to do this shit. Imagine Izzy being a full-blown, mind you, Izzy was a full-blown teenager when that girl turned heel. She was like, I had to wait for my biggest fan to turn into a teenager to go, okay, I'm done with this. Like, we're finished. Done. Like, done.
That's wild.
Isn't it?
That's wild.
Her villain arc, listen, I'm gonna be real honest with you, and I'm gonna let you get to the next point. Her villain arc then is what I'm hoping happens to Cody now. I swear to God. Because like, if you want a Homelander type shit, if you want some Homelander, like, you're pushing me to the brink of no return type shit, look no further than that. Bayley was the first to do it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Bayley was the first to do it before Dom could even do it. Dom learned from Bayley. Let's put it that way. Because remember, Dom was like itching, like, all right, I'm with my dad. It's supposed to be a dad and us thing. You keep bringing people into this. You keep trying to undershine me. You making me mad. I'm finding people that appreciate it that also tired of you doing the same thing. And then wham, turns on his moment. Disrespectful, being a disrespectful bastard. But then when
So
you
you're
look
saying
at the history, of it, I turn on my daddy too. If you had me sitting ringside trying to figure out who my daddy is, that's where the villain arc started. So think about it. Long term booking, long term storytelling.
Put him in danger, making him getting in a ladder match, involved in ladder matches.
And ladder
at
matches.
8-9 years old.
Getting yelled at by a grown
He got
ass
the money.
man.
He got paid.
So a Latino had to learn from another Latina how to do shit. So I gotta get my house in order. Is basically what you're saying.
There you go.
Oh my god.
We'll bring this up at the next meeting.
Yes, we will. But yeah, the Bayley, like I said, workhorse from the beginning, from the side ponytails to the clean bob, which I loved when she cut her hair. She's always been a workhorse, and that's what I respect about her most. Like, you can never not make me, even when she was a heel doing the ding dong shit. I was like, oh, I'm loving this.
Everything about it. I'm glad you mentioned that she's a workhorse too, because you notice like she doesn't get mixed up in like the social media shit. Like she literally just comes to work. She loves what she does. She's able to work with all the girls. She appreciates like giving back to the next generation, where she's always willing to work with people. I could see her being the one backstage like, oh, she has potential, I want to work with her, you know, just seeing all of those kind of things, or even just the long lasting friendship she has with AJ Lee and CM Punk. Like, I think that says a lot about her. Like, many people refer to her as like the best part of the locker room. So I think that's really, really cool. And she does stand up for all of her peers.
Yeah, she's definitely she's
for sure.
She's a definition of a locker room leader. Like, even when after she run the Royal Rumble, she was like sending messages out to like Cora Jade and Roxanne and JC Jade and like Indy, like even like Tiffany Strat has had nice things to say about her. Like, she's definitely the epitome of someone who's a locker room leader, or one of them at least.
Yeah.
I could definitely see when Bayley hangs her boots up for good, she's going to be the person that runs like the women's developmental in the performance center and be like the head of that. Be like, everything you want to be in WWE, every accolade you want to get. Here's the person that's literally done it. She's done it in front of fans. She's done it in a fucking PC with 0 fans and made shit work. This is the person you need to be learning from.
Well, she says she want to open up her own school. You know, and you know, Shoemaker asked her like, do you want to like work with Shawn and Triple H? But she said she kind of wants to do it on her own, like, you know, you know, open up her own independent school. You know, so I could definitely see that, and maybe, you know, her down the line coming to work for WWE, but I can kind of see her wanting to teach without the confines of restriction, teaching them the art of professional wrestling, how to work on the indies and how to work on the WWE, how to work for TV.
And she was able to do that's interesting that she would prefer to do it on her own. But you could see like she's done it all. She's gone through it all when you think about it. She was on the indies for a little bit. She went through NXT. She's one of Dusty's kids. She was able to, because like the Bayley Hugger character is not supposed to work. Like, if you think about it, like, what is the character? Like, it's like, oh, okay, super fan turned wrestler. That could get real corny real fast. But Dusty saw something in her, in the passion, the real life passion that she had for WWE and the business, and was like, nah, we could work with this. Because she's not, you know, now she's, you know, thirsted over, but back in the 2010s, like, Bayley wasn't the ideal WWE diva. She wasn't the ideal, you know, she was like, you know, her peers coming up at the time, like, I want to wrestle. Her favorite was Macho Man. Like, I want to get out there. I want to be a star. I want to really like put on memorable matches and etc. So her being able to come up and do that, then having to put over this unique character, and then going to the main roster and struggling a little bit. And even she'll say, and she's talked about it in interviews, how she was lost on the main roster for a little bit, and then turning heel, growing into her heel character, which I want to get into a little later, because I want to really get in depth about her character change. But she had to grow into that. Like, she had to really figure that out. Even the haircut, like, she had to really, like, what's the length? Like, what we doing here?
So glad you said Macho Man, because if you pay attention to her career, there's a lot of parallels, you know.
Oh yeah.
When you look at Wave One, the way her old gear used to look. I mean, if that wasn't Macho Man, 92, post wedding Macho Man, post world champion, second run of world championship, and then you also fast forward, and obviously we'll get more into it. But there's a lot of parallels, and you see kind of those transitions, even with her promo, is the way she's intense. Now, obviously, she's not doing the voices stuff, but just some of the ways, because she was manipulating a little bit with damage control. It may not seem that way at first, and I think that's the underlying story when you really think about with Io, why she called her homies. You know what I mean? But even with her and Sasha, if that wasn't the mega powers exploding just in a different way. So there's a lot of parallels. And when I look at Bayley, I've said this, pound for pound, best wrestler on the women's roster, in my opinion. The total package. P, you brought up something you said about nobody was thirsty. It felt weird, like it felt like filthy,
because she was like a little girl character.
It was like
I need to fucking grow up.
That was like feasting over that's like a freaking 30-year-old feasting over at like someone who's peak in senior year of college. Like that's gross.
Yeah, like
in my opinion.
Yeah, and yeah, did we know she was an adult? Absolutely. When you see when she would post photos, when she would post her Instagram photos, people would say, "Man, y'all see Bayley? She not in her gear." But the moment she put on the stuff and did the ponytail, was the hugger, you would not say that because you don't want to be looked at. You know what I mean? And so
that's the point. Your kid's gonna look at you and go, "Ew, dad."
Yeah, right. But and you know what? Because this is the fan club, I know I can ask this question, and y'all either gonna get on me or you're not. I wonder, did she have any like Ivory? You know how Ivory said like none of the boys wanted to try her because they felt she was older. I wonder.
1000%.
Did Bayley feel that way?
But even at that, oh damn! I just watched her take a spear. At the time, she had like a boyfriend, and then at the time, she was known. Mind you, when they dropped Breaking Ground, like I think maybe I want to say maybe 2 weeks before she got to main roster, because they were talking about her and Sasha's match at the same time. So they dropped Breaking Ground. They knew she had a boyfriend, but she was still like homely, cute, sweet Bayley, who they also knew now that she was friends with Carmella, and that a heel and a face are friends like that. That's weird. But also too, like, you can't be mad at them because like Bayley's kind of like the remnants of the feel good era, like the PG era, kind of like she's the remnants of the PG era. Like her gimmick fits the PG era. Like if her and non-exposed clothes Molly Holly got into a ring, you would just be watching them like, all right, well, you would just watch them put on the same type of technique because that's what they were.
5-star general match.
Exactly, but it wouldn't be like the kind that will make your boner go up. It'd just be kind of match.
What is the kind that will make your boner go up? That's
there was some, and then let me give you this. I appreciate it because they were teenage boys that liked them some Bayley. You gotta be on if you were on Tumblr. If you were on Tumblr used to, but there was some Tumblr.
I don't know what Seindole talking about. My wacky wavy inflatable 2-man was up and running.
That I'm talking exactly. They was like in listen, because Yamala was baby Yamala.
Like, hey.
Now she's full grown. Now she's full grown Yamala. Okay,
thicker.
Can I get to the yams? Sweet yams.
I mean, we respected that she had a man, but then when you saw her man in person, it's like, yo, I could beat his ass.
Wow. Yo, when I saw him when he was at AEW, the first Prudential show, I was like, I think I told my friend, I was like, yo, you know Bayley from WWE? And he was like, yeah. I said, that was her ex-fiance. He looked and he was like, oh, I can take him. Fuck that. He's like, and he's small. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he was like, I could take him. He was like, for Pam. He was like, for Bayley. He was like, I'll take that on. He's like, he might choke me out.
Brush her teeth in the middle of the night.
You know what I think is interesting? I think out of all the 4 horsewomen, I think Bayley might have the biggest approval rating out of all 4 of them.
You
1000%.
can't
People have
hate
felt
Bayley.
away.
You
People have
can't
felt
hate
away
her.
about Charlotte. People have felt away about Sasha, and even people are starting to feel away now with Becky. But Bayley, I can't really think of people that's really had a lot of negative things to say about Bayley.
Because even think about the pandemic, right? When both her and Sasha were in their 2-time Kenny Omega belt collector phase, when they were competing with that, like you couldn't hate. Yeah, the golden role models. You could not complain. Like they yearned for a stable. None of the stables really stable in. But her and Sasha were just like, all right, well, we got all the belts. We gonna do the fuck whatever the fuck we want. All these TVs can't yell and throw popcorn and boo us. We gonna do whatever the hell we won't do. And guess what they did? They ran shit. Think about it. Like you can't be mad at it. No one was mad at it. We loved it. People loved it.
Right.
I wish. Can we get into the golden role
They
models
will pull
real
up
quick?
on SmackDown. They will pull up on Raw. They said, "Fuck it, we're going to NXT and wrestling because we want to wrestle some people." And we were all like, "Yes, yes," and more.
Guess what?
This yes.
They were like, "We in Florida. What's good? we can do this on the jet.
We everywhere. What's up?
We outside inside.
It don't even matter. We in a Thunderdome. Like it don't even matter.
Shit, we could do this in the NXT parking lot. We waiting out here with the titles. Come get it.
That actually happened. That's the funny part. So let's get into Sasha and Bayley, because you almost can't talk about one without the other, which I hope changes at some point. Because I do want Bayley to stick out on her own.
No, I think it's like without Randy and Cena.
No, but you can talk about one without
Cena without Randy, and you can talk about Randy without Cena. But I think a lot of times, maybe not even more with Damage Control, and that could be maybe why she wanted to be in a faction for a little bit, is that you don't really think about that too much. But the golden role model era, the hug and
Boston
Hug connection, them being the first tag team champions, them being wrestling soulmates, best friends, like, you know, they put everything on the map. Everyone talks about, you know, even the wrestlers now in NXT, they talk about, you know, the Bayley and Sasha Iron Woman match and all that kind of stuff.
I swear, out of all the matches I've heard people say, this is what got me into wrestling, this is what made me want to become a wrestler. I think over the last decade with women's wrestlers, Bayley and Sasha in Brooklyn is like the #1 match that's gotten many generational talents.
My ex get into wrestling. Like he was taking me out on a date. He was just like, well, you want to go, so we got tickets to this show, me not knowing this NXT. And then he's watching it. He's like, yo, I don't know why they don't let women wrestle more. A guy, like a grown ass man, saying, I don't know why they don't let women close more, because that match had that much impact. And then you added to the fact that crowd was fully invested, like ass in seats, like not one person, like people rushing from the concession stand and leaving the bathroom line to come back and make sure they saw this match. Like it's like, give me the best boxing match you've ever seen that made you go, wow, this is epic.
Oh, fuck.
That's what it was for a lot of female. That's what it was for a lot of fans. And then for it to be two women closing for the first time, and then not be a Raw or not be and not be like an NXT show. It was an NXT. It was a pay-per-view. So people who got to see a stadium got to go to that show. For them to close was epic. Yeah. It's cemented almost.
Yeah, definitely. You know, when you just think about like them two, they are, you know, and they say it, well, you know, she says wrestling soulmates, you know, and it's like P said, you want to get to a point where you can mention Bayley's name without just thinking of Sasha. Like I said, you know, Macho Man. You could say Macho Man, and Hogan will tell you in a minute he made the most money with Macho Man, and it's the same for Macho Man, whether he would have admitted it or not. But at the same time, you could speak their names separately, and I think you get there because it's those rivalries, those matches, but it's also just the storytelling. Like anybody can relate. Like they broke up, came back together, and then when they broke up again, you could still feel it. And to me, I remember when the chair shot. I mean, when she took Sasha out and, you know, hurt her neck, I was hoping that was going to be so long term to take us to that Royal Rumble, and Sasha would win, and they would have their WrestleMania match. Obviously, we got Bianca, so I'm not complaining. But you just look at like the stuff when they was going to counseling, and a lot of that stuff was great. And sometimes you can make an argument like, oh, this was just, but they made like whatever they was given, they they made it work, and it was fun. And then you watching both of them evolve too.
Right. No, I just a friendly reminder. We watch AEW Dynamite as a family, and at 8 in about 5 minutes.
No, I'm watching Bayley kill in this elimination chamber first. I'm sorry. I don't know if anything
Tony
can tell
Khan
me.
got a big announcement tonight.
He has a big announcement every 3 months. He's like a period. He has an announcement coming every single month. Every 30 fucking days, he literally has an announcement. Why? Y'all just tell me the announcement going forward.
How about saying we on Tony Khan's cycle? That's
what I was going to say real quick was he may have had an announcement, but I think TD Garden spoiled his announcement for him today because this kind of got all over the place. Yeah, so I don't know if Tony Khan's announcement had anything to do with a certain AEW show being announced in Boston, Massachusetts. But TD Garden was like, fuck this, we're putting this out there now because we're trying to get tickets for this shit.
Yeah, because they know it's going to be a half-empty stadium.
It depends if a certain boss may sign to AEW and show up.
Oh my God. Moving on. Again, like a period.
We shall see because we don't know what Tony's announcement is.
Yes,
like a period.
Yeah. Well, we'll maybe be still on air when he makes that decision. And if it does happen on the night that we're appreciating Bayley, that would be kind of crazy. But I want to get into more into, I guess, Bayley and Sasha because it's not as like it was long. Like you had your NXT story, but then they did a lot on the main roster together. They teased their feud for a long time. They had them be tag team partners for a long time, not officially. Then they became the first, tag team champion, women's tag team champions. And then they went on to do their own things. And then they came back and was the golden role models. And they held all the gold during the pandemic era and really held it down. That was probably my favorite stuff ever. But what was your favorite sort of era of Sasha Baysha, as I see it online? What was like your favorite era of Baysha and why? And why do you think that's going to be the significance when you look back on it?
Because they were your female version of Sean and Hunter.
Please elaborate.
Do I really have to? Like, think of all the memories. Think of the
if you don't, I will.
Justin, take the ball because the only thing that I can think of is who had the best chemistry and rivalry. Shawn and Triple H. That's one of Triple H's dance partners, if not his best friend, is Shawn Michaels. Who had the best? I'm gonna come back and hit swing. I'm gonna do it with the one person who understands me. Triple H and Shawn Michaels. They literally when they were the role models, they were literally one like pelvic thrust away from being the new female version of D-Generation X. And I'm gonna let Justin elaborate on that because I saw it. I saw it as soon as they started collecting when they won the tag team titles the first time. And even I can go way as far back as the Elimination Chamber because Bayley and Sasha made it to the end because of each other. Like pinfall, like pinning everybody, and they got rid of people together up until the end.
And so for me, it's obviously the golden role models for this specific reason. They finally got the booking that they deserve. You talk about the years that Bayley's had to play the backdrop to a lot of other people. You talk about how many times WWE has started Sasha, where Sasha's had to play the background to a lot of other people. And now that you had this pandemic, now that you have Becky Lynch away on pregnancy, now that you had Charlotte Flair on NXT because she was NXT Women's Champion, now that you didn't have a Ronda Rousey, you were kind of forced to book Bayley and Sasha, and then they got over like Rover with this golden role model story that, it took its bumps in the beginning because Bayley had just turned heel and people didn't know how to react to that. And then we had the pandemic and stuff like that. But once it became women's tag team champion and Bayley became double champion, that's when the ratings took off because then we wanted to see more of them because not only were they putting on bangers, but now they were finally positioned as the fucking stars of the show like they should have been. Like you have two of the most generational talents in your roster, and you were being haphazard on booking them like the generational talent that they are until you didn't have a choice but to book them. And then once you put Sasha in that other title picture of like, you know what, Asuka's got the Raw Women's Champion. I kind of want to be a double champion. Why the hell not? And it just led to compelling television. It led to some great ass matches. You finally got Bayley and Asuka crossing paths again. You got Sasha and Io crossing paths. You had Sasha and Kyrie putting on bangers and stuff like that. We finally got a fucking Sasha Banks Asuka feud, and I've been screaming for that for years. But now WWE was forced to have these matches because now the ratings backed it up, the demo backed it up. That's why you had Chris Jericho crying on AEW. That's why he's calling himself the demo god because Sasha and Io put on a better match and had more people watching that shit than Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega on AEW. And people were tuning in, people were supporting this shit. The only thing that I hate was that this happened in the Performance Center in the Thunderdome era where we couldn't be there in person. Because a lot of the stuff that I really want to see that I've been begging WWE for years all happened during the Thunderdome. But I'm glad that it happened because it finally got to, like, Sasha unlocked the side of Bayley that, you know how you have that one friend that's like very loud but very confident, swagger, has no problem talking with a lot of confidence, but then you have that shy friend that's very reserved, that's very quiet, that you kind of got to pull things out of them. But when you put those two together, that can unlock the quiet one, and you'd be like, oh shit, I didn't know you had this in you. Oh shit, I didn't know you were this talented at this and that. That's what happened with that Golden Role Models run with Bayley specifically, where Sasha unlocked the side of Bayley that you just, Bayley became wrestling Karen. But not like a,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get the manager like Chelsea Green, more like I'm gonna handle my business in the ring, but also be like a snoveling idiot on the mic and let you know, like, yeah, I am that good and da 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 da. But Sasha pulled that out of her. So then
Yeah.
when you lead to their
Yeah,
dissolution of the
because
Golden
Sasha
Role
was like
Models,
screwing at first time. Sasha every single turn was screwing Bailey over. Like you would use her to your advantage, and then when you were like, "All right, time for me to do me," yeah, like you. That's how it was. But then when they became the Golden Role Models, it was like, "All right, that can't happen." And then you're gonna lean into when it finally dissolved. It was finally like a role in reverse, in my opinion.
exactly. And then you get to that Hell in a Cell match, which is still one of the greatest women's Hell in a Cell matches of all time. If that would have been in the front of a crowd, that would have been a 5-star match, and that would have went apeshit because they told a story for over a year.
Oh
People
yeah.
thought this was going to happen at WrestleMania 36. We were going to get Sasha versus Bayley, and they turn on each other. They're like, no, 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 no. We're not going
Nah,
to.
we'll do it
You know
now.
what we got here? Not yet, not yet. And then you get it at Hell in a Cell, and it just hit like
I think I
10
was like
times even harder.
I felt like I was the only person around that time that didn't want them to turn on each other at WrestleMania. I was like, 'cause I loved it and wanted them to do exactly what they did, which was hold all the gold. So I was like, nah, you can't break them up. No, not yet. And I mean, it was such a great story. And then when, obviously when they did break them, I was like, man, I can't believe this just happened.
Yeah. I like most about Bailey's career, at least since she turned heel, was the slow burn. Like her heel turn was a slow burn. Like first people noticed she started being a little bit more aggressive in matches. Then it was her frustration towards Charlotte. Then it was her hitting Becky with the chair
Yes.
with Sasha. But then it never really was there. And I don't know if y'all remember, but when like Kayla Braxton and the Renee and them would try to interview her in the back, like explaining her actions, she would never give a direct answer. She would just like walk away. Or so you really was thinking like, what's going on with Bayley? Like, is she gonna turn? Is she gonna do this? And my dumb ass like, oh, she never gonna turn heel. So is she just being more aggressive in her character? Then she comes out and actually like kills the Bayley buddies, but then she ends up still linking up with Sasha. I was always curious of like who was going to turn on who, because I think Sasha turning on Bayley was super predictable.
Yeah.
And I said to myself that to solidify Bayley's heel turn, she has to be the one to turn on Sasha.
Yeah.
Like it's like that's the test. That's the test. Like, is she gonna do it? Is she gonna then make that moment happen? And she made it happen. So I was really excited that she was the one to do it, personally. And I loved their Hell in a Cell match was good. I'm not gonna say who I prefer because I want to start a tangent, but I do prefer Becky and Sasha's Hell in a Cell match compared to Bayley.
Really?
And yeah,
I gotta go
They're
back and
both
watch it.
fantastic.
They're both really
argument
good,
out of
though.
here.
they are both
They're
really,
both
really,
really
really,
good,
really
though.
good. Yeah,
I think this Hell in a Cell match
Yeah.
is better than Takeover.
Oh,
I agree. I
1000%.
Yeah,
because both
as much as
are there.
yeah,
It was baby Sasha and Bayley trying to prove something versus adult Sasha and Bayley. Like, bitch, I'm better than you. No, I'm better than you. Bitch, we the best. Let's just best each other out. Let's out best each other till we can't best no more. That's what that Hell in the Cell match was.
Right.
That was probably the best Hell in a Cell pay-per-view too.
That was a really good one, yeah.
As much as like I don't like, I'm kind of glad they got rid of it because I don't want to force it, and I'd rather see a Hell in a Cell match happen organically.
After seeing Cody and his torn titty, I'm done with Hell in a Cell. I'm sorry.
I mean,
sorry, brother.
Who throw him in a box?
Okay. The Nightmare's torn titty. How about that?
It's the same person. But no, like I just think about like that night, you know, you had the tribal chief going to another level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
So it was, man. But
you
that
even had
like
Randy when Randy was white hot, taking down Drew McIntyre when it looked like Drew McIntyre wasn't gonna get taken down.
Yeah, but that also that was a good match. It felt like it was so Drew could get his moment in front of something, you know, in front of screens. But I mean, you still can't deny, like you say, you can't deny the actual, you know, the match. But just those two, like I mean, and you know, you talk about the slow build of Bayley with that heel turn, you know, big pop when she hit Becky Lynch with that chair. You know, just being there, that's probably, you know, one of my top 10 favorite moments in person that wasn't like, you know, WrestleMania, because you just, you know, it wasn't one of those things like the audience, you didn't like, oh, you saw this coming. You know what I mean? And you kind of been waiting for it, but then watching her tear up those Bayley buddies was just so funny because it's
so
like, okay,
satisfying.
yeah, thank you. It's like, oh, if you could be a heel, get rid of them shits.
Because it was a point in time where it was just like, where can this go? Because she's gonna get older, her fans are gonna get older. Like, you really can't play this little girl wrestling fan forever. She started voicing her frustrations on other platforms and stuff like that. So you just knew kind of it was coming. And there was that period of time where she was still kind of growing into it. Like, I think even up to as far as when her, Becky, and Shayna faced each other at Survivor Series, like I think even then she was still trying to figure it out. Because remember, it was like super brooding. Like her character was like, she walked to the ring like, and I was just like, it's not really fitting. But I think once she found the comedic side of being a heel, it really leads into like her personality. I think that's when things started to click. In my opinion, like I don't think it was like overnight. It was like Hillbilly's the GOAT. Like I think it took time.
I think even to now, is kind of like her whole history repeating itself now. More with her feud with Bianca than it is with Damage Control in itself. Because you're now looking like, imagine you having to pull all that you've pulled to get to the top. And when you were a babyface, they didn't really like respect you that much, but they respected you enough. And when you're a heel, they still not respecting you enough, but they just tolerating you enough. And here comes somebody who's stronger, faster, brighter, who can basically best you without even trying to best you. They just best you based on waking up in the morning. And you got to deal with that. And I think that's what probably with that whole Bianca feud intensified it a little bit more, because here you are not letting go of shit by literally then recruiting two people to also assist you in ruining your life. Like, because you can't stand this person or you're jealous of this person, because it came off at first as jealousy. Because even with like them having the Olympic Games where Bianca had picked up Otis on that SmackDown, and like at first I didn't understand what Bayley was trying to do, but she was trying to undo her own belief in the hype of Bianca Belair because everybody was on the hype of Bianca Belair. Mind you, everything had shut down right when Bianca Belair had just cleared the Royal Rumble the way she did. Think about that. So now you watching another shiny new toy. Who else is a shiny new toy? Your old friends, the Becky, the Charlottes, the Rondas, the Sashas, the Alexas. All of them have been shiny new toys, and you're a shiny new toy too. But nobody wants to play and use you to play around with dolls. Does that make sense? Like you have to literally look at every. It's almost like when we say that legends look at who's number coming, and we hear these stories, these backstage stories of people bearing new faces because they know they're being replaced, and that's I guess Bayley had to play into that. And when that whole feud Bianca, that's when I legit was one of the only times where it was like, all right, Ding Dong Bayley was funny, but now I'm starting to look at Bayley being like, oh shit, she's a real heel. Because she's really not letting up on Bianca.
Right.
I like
So
her.
I enjoyed that. Right. And then now when she came back, now when she came back with Damage Control, I looked forward to it.
Yeah.
I look forward to what it could become. And it became something really good up until, you know.
Right.
They started hating on her, you know what I mean?
I thought it was good. It another slow burn because I wouldn't say it was random them as a faction because it was just like, okay, you came back with EO and Dakota Kai for some reason, cool, but like there was like no thread there. But then after a while, it was like, okay, now like I get it. But I want to just touch on one last thing with Sasha and Bayley really quickly. How do you guys feel about them being the first women's tag team champions? Because that was a big debate on wrestling Twitter because you had like legit tag teams in that match.
Well, who else were you gonna give it? No,
Sonya
People
and
really wanted
Mandy,
the Iconics to be the first
because they were like a legit tag team. And I hate saying legit tag team, but what I mean by that is WWE's infamous for just putting people together and putting them in the championship picture. But
my thing is I'll be real honest with you. Who gives a fuck? Because do you want people that are just going to be funny? And I love the Iconics to death. It's not slander about them. But do you want people that are over gimmicky and shiny and just there to laugh at? Or do you want two people that are going to kill matches with no matter who you put in the ring with? And that was Bayley and Sasha. You put the gold on them. You now have these established tag teams that say, hey, we're an actual tag team who works hard. Let's see if we can go for the gold. And they go for the freaking gold. Like, which one sounds better to you? Because to me, if I get to go in a ring as a tag team, like say me and like Justin, for example, say we get to go up against like Roxanne Perez and Braun Breaker. You really think I'm gonna whine and cry about fucking going up against Roxanne and Braun Breaker? Hell no, that's gonna put me on the map. Especially if this match is a kick-ass match. Every match that those two had as tag team champions were not disappointing matches. In a field where nobody else was in the arena, not one tag team match they had was disappointing. Not one. It just made people invested in women's tag team. Sorry, one last point. It made people invest in that tag team championship a lot more than they were supposed to. Because let's be real, at first the tag team championships just looked like something to give the women because you can't have the women fighting in the middle of a pandemic over one belt or two belts.
Well, I'll say this. I think as far as them being tag team champions, I liked it. I understood them being the first, for the history books, for all that, from what we heard, them going back, backstage fighting for it, explaining why they wanted it so bad. I do say that I wished it kind of happened in reverse, but knowing what we know now,
like winning them at Mania as opposed to losing them at Mania.
Yeah. Just thinking about like everything that weekend was, as far as Kofi Mania and then the women main event in the show. I think having like Becky Lynch go over at the end, and if Sasha and Bayley could have won the tag titles there, could have been something special, and Sasha could have got her first WrestleMania win there, and Bayley wouldn't have, would have kept her undefeated WrestleMania streak outside the Battle Royal. But I understand it. I understand why they did it. I understand why they had to be first.
Right. I think too, just a behind the scenes look on it is they champion these championship belts more than anyone backstage. I
Mm-hmm.
learned like that they were the ones that really pushing it because they were fans of the Hart Foundation, and they had a huge respect for tag team wrestling. And if you watch
Yeah.
Bayley and Sasha wrestle as a tag team, they 100% are like they're just not two powerhouses tag teaming together, but they're
Mm-hmm.
actually doing combination maneuvers, and they put on really good matches. I don't know who mentioned it before about them going down to NXT, them going to every brand, and like we're gonna defend these titles. And after, well, I'm talking about the second time they carried the championships, but the second time they held them, a lot of people say was when it grew the pedigree back, because the Iconics did end up becoming champions and like never defended them. So that like they really betrayed
And
me. I was
that
just
was
like, yo,
gonna be my
Iconics,
point.
I was rooting for you, and then
That
y'all
was gonna be
never
my
fucking
point, which
defended
is
some shit.
the women that have been fighting their ass off for years, getting on Mr. Redacted's bad side for these titles, they finally get them in existence, and you want them to go to someone else? Really? Nah. But then at the same time, I understood why they dropped it at WrestleMania, because we all didn't know what was happening with Sasha until she came back, and then that special drop that explained everything that was going on with her. So as much as I hated that they dropped their WrestleMania, because I was also there for that, I was like, why they just got them not that long ago? They only got to defend them once. And yes, for those that were like, well, put it on someone else, you got your wish. You got it on the Iconics. But guess what? I can't tell you one goddamn thing that happened during that entire Iconics title run at all, which kind of validates the point of why Bayley and Sasha got those titles in the first place. I respect Billy. I respect Peyton. I can't tell you one thing about that title run other than they had the titles and they were maybe, comical. That's it.
Talk about it, because the really reason why y'all wanted it on Icons is because they were the only actual tag team. Y'all actually gave a lot of people, let's be real, and it's respect on both Peyton and Billy both, but a lot of people couldn't tell me 1 5 set move the both of them had, even if they couldn't tell me what they ate for breakfast. You can't. You only wanted them tag team titles on them girls because they were making you laugh. You put the tag team titles though on people that were talented, which was Sasha and Bayley.
I love comedy acts. I love people that can talk on the mic. But remember, this is wrestling. At the end of the day, a bell rings and a match has to be had. And if you can't hold it down in the ring, and if I can't remember any of your fucking matches, then it is what it is. You
I
have
can't
I
remember one.
don't think
limitations.
I
that.
love
I
them.
don't think that. But I ain't gonna sit up here and slander and act like the Iconics wasn't good. It's just
It's
that
not that they weren't good, but
there wasn't. I just feel like if they was in this era, we would be having a whole different conversation. Just because you see how Monday Night Raw is and the way the tag teams, like the show was built, more for tag teams, and I think you putting the Iconics over there would have been so much better in this generation, this era, because they could really cook and do funny
right.
stuff. And so again, I just wish that I'm so happy that Sasha and Bayley got a chance to have a second run because we was able to get a lot of cool stuff. We got to see them as baby faces, but we really got to see them cook as heels.
And it's
And
not
they
to
both
slander the Iconics. It's not to
go
slander
ahead.
the Iconics at all. As someone, again, someone who frequent watched NXT, the NXT Iconics versus main roster Iconics were like a big loss in transition. This was at a time too, and this is something I will always blame creative, because creative did not know how to transition those NXT people from NXT to main roster, and that's why a
It
lot of
was
them
bad at one point.
struggled.
It was really
That's
bad
why
at one
people
point.
like that were really good that held up that brand, like Tyler Breeze struggled. That's why people like Apollo Crews struggled. The only people that I can think of that didn't struggle, the Bayley, Sasha,
Yeah,
um,
Krista.
Big E. Like a lot of them struggled coming to the main roster, but it was creative's thing at the time where they put that tag team. It was a creative decision I bet you, to put it on Sasha and Bayley, but it was also a booking match standpoint to give good matches to them as tag team champions. They had to start that whole thing, because who to take off the best of the two as the first tag team champions to now make the competition even better. So where now you
Mhm.
actually have a full-blown division. You can merge anybody that works together, but no one's worked like them. Now a lot of tag teams that they can merge together like them can do that.
But that's the
had
best
to be
part
them
about their
first.
second run too, because it wasn't just
Mhm.
what Bayley and Sasha was doing inside the ring, but just the stuff they was doing outside the ring, and
Right.
just showing their forward. And again, back to Bayley, her range. That's why I consider her, the best pound for pound, best WWE superstar especially on the women, well, on the women's side, uh, and not compare to both sides, but just because what she does is like she can literally do it all. And um I think now what we're seeing with her is all done by design off the poster.
Yeah.
This gives her something to fuss with. Now
Yeah.
we built again storytelling, right? It's no secret.
Mhm.
Bayley won the Royal Rumble. Bayley's match is the only thing that's solidified for
Yeah.
WrestleMania, and
I
then she's
know.
not announced for the presser, right? Again, it's
Yo,
so
even think
upsetting.
about it too. She wasn't even on the poster initially for the Royal Rumble, and you had her win the Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
Like, come on.
it's to get us even further behind it, because you got to remember,
Yep.
thinking about it from a the target audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kids hated Bayley for so long. Now you got to reprogram us. Think about when Macho Man was a heel and then he came back. For adults, yeah, they jumped right back in love with him. But for kids, we had to
Yeah.
get back under his good graces. It was like, okay, so what? You and Elizabeth kissed at WrestleMania. We don't care. Oh, the snake bit you? Okay. Now we got sympathy because we saw you crying and we saw your wife get hit. So it's all that, reprogramming. And once you get those kids behind her again and again, she don't even have to be Hugger Bayley, but that promo that shows you her range, because Bayley went from being like so cocky, arrogant, we about to tear us. She was the first. She was the one who got the pin, if I'm not mistaken, at Clash of the Castle, the first person to pin Bianca in ages.
She was.
Yeah. So it's like she was on her heel shit. Now she's like, so like, damn, you just want to give her a hug.
And
Ironically.
Brian's right about the fact that you got to reprogram. Think of this. It's been over 3.5 years of the role model and this heel turn. So you do have kids that's like only seeing 3 years of Bayley being a heel, that you kind of got to bring back the hugger and like the babyface version, because unless you're pulling up Peacock and going through the network, they're probably not doing that. Or they probably don't have a connection to it because they didn't experience that in real time.
They got YouTube, trust me. Every time
That's true. But I am interested in the kids that didn't witness Hugger Bayley. That actually just despise her because they're just like, she's, a heel all of this time. But then you have like us, who, that's why I would say Bayley. I think all four horsewomen to a certain extent will always kind of be like tweeners. They'll never fully be on either side because we just love and respect them so much. Like even Becky as a heel, as much as I like was annoyed by her and booed her, do you know how excited I still got every time her music hit? Like it did not matter, like whether it was Big Time Bex, the man, whoever, NXT champion Becky, like she's over. That's it. Bayley, I think, is even more so because of those underlying like underappreciation things of like her not being on the WrestleMania poster, and like you said, her being the only one with a legit fucking road destination at WrestleMania. She's not on the poster. She's not involved in the press conference. She's never mentioned in the top echelon. And I think she's been able to kind of make it her thing. So where that pop is going to be even bigger when shit happens.
To me.
And you know what's crazy? Like, it sucks that this happened, but the blessing in disguise was the knee injury. It sucks that it happened, but it made people really like, oh fuck, we really did take Bayley for granted. We do really miss her. Like,
yeah.
Right.
And you know what's crazy? I joked about it one time. I was like, why I feel like why are they giving her the CM Punk treatment? Because this girl has won the Royal Rumble, won belts, won championships, like, and she ain't on shit. They didn't even give her an ice cream bar. They didn't give the cover Chili Fallon. Like, they didn't give her nothing. Like,
and
it's just wild.
this is the second
but
time.
Then Bianca, and then you got, we love Bianca up in here, but Bianca getting to show with her man.
Can you imagine Bayley on Total Divas?
No.
I think
No.
I know.
She is too much
I've
of a
always said out
wrestler's
of all the
wrestler.
horse
I
women,
think
she was
Cardi.
the
I
said
think
just the best.
Battleground. I think doing that WWE documentary was as much as Bayley was gonna get.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Bayley, and then there's the one thing that I think that people will never be mad at her about because at the end of the day,
Oh, they
Bayley
gotta
too
bring
is
back
also still a
WWE
fan.
Evil.
No, I think are they going to? I hope they do.
I
I
hope
love
Bring
they
that.
back
gotta bring
what?
back. They gotta bring
Evil.
back a WWE Evil and interview all of us.
Mm.
And Bailey's story.
And I was
Ooh,
like, not even Bayley. They got Punk back. They got a whole bunch of other people. Like they can finally go back into
yeah,
so
because
many
you just think
people.
about like Bailey is the perfect person for that. Like that
I
person
told
who
you
was
she got a
face.
Homelander villain arc.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with the boys on Prime on Amazon Prime?
I
So
tried to
watch the
watch the
first.
episode.
So watch an episode. You'll see what I mean. Like Homelander.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you just
Yeah.
got stuck. But
See, she said Homelander, and they're like, They froze that ass.
But
dang.
either way, we gonna root for Bayley, whether we're supposed to boo her or not. Like we're gonna root for her because even when she was injured, she did the talk show thing. She was a WrestleMania host, so like she's always gonna be present in our WWE lives.
Yeah,
Right.
And
she's
I
so good
think
at it.
right
When
every
she was
aspect.
dressing with the blazers and the
That with the
ties.
glasses.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Ding
Right.
Dong Hello was
Use the
so
door. Use the
fucking funny.
door.
Oh my god, it was so good.
I feel like
I
her
love
and
it.
Seth. I feel like her and Seth
That
were
was
the
the best
best tweener
episode.
heels at that time.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
her and Seth were the best tweeners because when Seth was getting out of the Messiah era and he was like feuding with Logan Paul and he was like, I see you here. People didn't like him, but then people also were like, what the fuck's Logan Paul doing here? And he was like, hey Logan, bye bye, bitch. And he was just like taking his match with Logan Paul as a joke. He's like, bye bye, bitch. Like,
Or even just their obnoxious laughs together was so
him
funny.
and Billy, both of them. Yeah, exactly. You can't tell me that was a win. I don't know. You can't make me dislike Bayley, bro. Like you can't. Like you can make me annoyed with Bayley, but she's one of the people you just can't make me dislike her.
Right.
I was liking Yamala then. I was liking Yamala with the ponytail. I was liking Yamala with the ding dong. I was liking Pamela with the whole damage control thing. I was like, you can't make me you can't make me dislike her. Again, I'm gonna be annoyed at some things.
Never.
But you can't make me dislike her. Like even like
Never.
I'm like, if they don't give her the Royal Rumble, I'll be very shocked. And look what they did, gave her the Royal Rumble match.
Yeah. I love that about Bayley, but I want to get into some of her other accomplishments because she's had many. Like I said, she's a Grand Slam champion. So on the road to her babyface heel turn, she wins Money in the Bank. Did you guys see this coming? Were you guys rooting for her? How did you guys feel about Bayley winning Money in the Bank?
I love that she won, and I love it even more that she cashed in on Charlotte and took that title off of her. Like, all right, we have to get these two titles off of Becky. Obviously, they kept the Raw one on her, and she went to be a year-long champion. But double champion ain't gonna work. But then we were also like, Charlotte Flair again? LOL? No. What the fuck? It was like, Bayley, please win this and cash in on her. So Bayley got the briefcase.
Cena.
It's the one time I think I've ever been, please cash in on this bitch tonight. And I love Charlotte, and I never say anything derogatory. I was like, please cash in on this bitch tonight because I have a feeling Charlotte's winning this title, and I do not want to see her have that for more than 24 hours. Get that offer. And Bayley cashed in. I was just like, thank you. God, Mr. Redacted, you get a lot of shit wrong, but thank you for getting this one right. Thank you.
Yo, like for me, I was like, because we all know, like we love Charlotte too, but Homegirl was John Cena and seeing it out. She was giving us female the thing that you cheer for. You're gonna like we here for the 15th time, girl. What? And then when Charlotte did that, it was like, wait. Are you ending this for us? Like this, just like that. We are not worthy. We are not worthy of your servancy. Like that's what it felt like to a lot of people. because Mr. Redacted likes to repeat the same thing 40 times. And sometimes you got to nip it in the bud. And that's what Bayley did.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you talk about accomplishments before, I know we running up on time, but that's the thing. First Grand Slam champion, and then just the matches. If you look at her library of matches, Elimination Chamber, Hell in a Cell, ladder match, tables match, Royal Rumble, it's a reason, you talk about a workhorse. She is one of the workhorses, and it's kind of like, I'm glad she's, kind of going out there and snatching it. So they're like, nah, I deserve all this shit. And, like, don't be humble. You know what I mean? Don't be humble. Go take it. And I'm so happy that she does have the first match announced for WrestleMania, because these stories next week, for the next few weeks, man, I'm ready to go for a ride, because first of all, just the way she said it just made me feel like insert music and insert sad music, because those promo packages are gonna be so ridiculous, and it just pulls at your heart, because it's like not everybody, but a lot of people can relate to, wanting to put people together to see them do better, and then having them just kind of like kick you to the curb, or get above themselves. So the story being so relatable and having so much breathing room, this is why, like, we in for a show stealer, and not just from the match, but from the storytelling.
I completely agree. And
I agree.
the way she was able to talk, like that one scene, I guess you could say, of her in the doorway listening to EO and them talk shit about her. Just the look on her face. She doesn't even have to say anything, and you just felt that shit. You were just like, as much as you might have hated Bayley over the last couple of years, or booed her, or found her annoying, in that moment,
I don't like seeing my Pamela sad.
Insert soap opera transition music.
Yes. That is when it happens.
And you know what it is? I think what was more heartbreaking about it is because we talk about, Gabe Batista 05 vibes, but we also talk about the fact that and all she wanted was the damage control, was to have something that was next level. So to find out that the people that you basically helped get to the next level are really plotting against you, like that's
heartbreaking.
Well timed.
Yes.
I'm just mad we ain't gonna get to see her dance to the damage control music no more. She would rock. Remember we was at Survivor Series? She would
now
just,
it's like serious business. Now we're gonna see that serious side of Bayley again.
Oh yeah,
she don't have time to play. It's like she gotta do. She's gonna be on her own now, which I'm excited for. I want to just shout out this moment Cool Dog put in the comments about her on Miss TV. That was funny, because I think that was a part of that time that I'm talking about, where she was still trying to figure out like what her character's motivation was gonna be when she first turned heel. So there was a point in time where she wasn't saying anything, she wasn't doing interviews, she was like super just like brooding, and she walked to the rig like all sad, like, I don't have my buddies anymore. So I was like, I'm not sold for a while. Like it took a while. It took a while for me. Y'all know what I'm talking about, when she first like.
No, what you say again?
Like for real. That's really how she was walking to the ring and stuff.
Dylan Matthews gonna probably make that a joke.
I'm about to say someone better clip that.
Yeah,
that was gold. That was gold.
Okay, how old were y'all? Because I was like 2 years ago old when I found out what like the inspiration for her ring name. So it's two different things. It's one because she's from the Bay Area, and two because they wanted her name to be unisex, so that every child was to relate to Bayley, whether you're a girl, boy, because you could be Bayley, could be anyone. Like every child basically was supposed to identify with Bayley in NXT. So I always thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I was today years old. I knew about the Bay Area, but
Yeah, that's why it's BAY
and
and
we're
not
gonna
the
wish
other way.
Bayley.
Bailey.
We wish her good luck this week as her 49ers go win the Super Bowl.
And Brian, I
No,
know you're gonna be.
no.
I know you're gonna be.
Oh dang!
I unfortunately have to root for Taylor Swift's team.
I'm not rooting for
Wow.
anything that has to deal with Taylor Swift. But Brian, I know that you said that you're gonna be sad that you don't get to see Bailey dance to Damage Control music anymore. But man, think of the vision. WrestleMania.
I'm
What if we get
fine.
Paramore to fucking play her out? Her favorite band to play Bailey
Paramore
to the
for
ring in her
Mania.
championship
Paramore for
match.
Mania.
Give me Paramore
Yo, you know what I
at
learned about that
Mania
though?
for Bailey.
I learned about that on wrestling on WWE Meets Pop Culture, which you can find here every week on Those Wrestling Girls YouTube channel.
Network.
Love the
Excuse me,
plug.
those
Love the
Wrestling
plug.
Girls Network.
I love it. I love the sound of TWG Network too. I think it's really cool. She's a
Mm.
big Paramore fan, so if this does
Huge.
happen for Bayley, I would love that. Can we talk about another aspect of Bayley that I don't know if we talk about a lot, but like, and this is not just because she's Bayley, but just as a wrestler in general, how do we feel about her gear? So she's one of those people, she doesn't really pivot towards anything. Like she's like a Charlotte. Like she's a wrestler. She's not gonna be wearing sneakers to the ring. She wants to wear her wrestling gear, her wrestling boots. How have you guys felt about her gear over the years? We talked about how she's inspired by Macho Man. That's why she had the tassels on her gear when she first came out. Overall, like, is it memorable? How have you guys felt about her gear?
Well, I mentioned earlier about the transition with the transition and how much she's like Macho Man. And the latest gear is kind of giving me last wave Macho Man vibes. You know, when you think about Macho Man WCW esque towards the end of the years that people don't really talk about too much, like the Macho Man after the Macho Madness. It's like it sort of kind of gives me those vibes, less tassely, more, you know, just more gear-esque. But and it's been fun to watch it evolve. But for early part when she was colorful, oh, definitely felt Macho Man-esque.
Mm-hmm.
I like her gear. I really like the role model version of her gear over Hugger Bailey's gear, but I really that all black gear that she wore at Hell in a Cell really stands out to me as like that may be one of my favorites because it was just like we ain't seen you in this look. It's something different, but it's something that fits the character even more. And then you had Sasha wearing all white, yeah, Bailey in all black. That's just one of those distinct looks where it's like that little change up right there. I wish you could keep that or bring that back in some form. I don't think that she will now that she's gonna go babyface, but that was always one that's like, yo, you got something here with this one. I really like this.
Same. I always liked it. I liked sometimes she really experimented with the colors, and then I also liked, I do miss kind of going to shows and seeing the little Baileys because they would be so cute. And I know she was making all the money on that fucking merch. Like she was on John Cena level with the color t-shirts and all that kind of stuff, which is why I bet money that she would never turn heel because I was like, she ain't turning down on merch checks. That shit probably crazy. But no, I love that. I love, her cashing in, becoming champion, her holding down the pandemic, which I think she should get more credit for, like literally holding that shit like on her back.
Yeah.
And I don't know anyone that doesn't appreciate, like, this is Bayley Appreciation Night, but I don't know anyone who doesn't appreciate her.
Not one.
What are some of your favorite Bayley matches and moments? Go.
I'll say it before and I say it again. Her and Sasha. NXT Takeover.
You can't say Takeover.
Why not? Oh,
because.
Oh, sorry. Okay. But it is.
I
Go
got
ahead.
one. I got one. So it's not take away the greatest hits of Bailey, and she's got a top 10 greatest hits. My personal favorite, and I want to thank God and WWE because this happened around my birthday week. Sasha versus Bayley, #1 contenders match on Raw. The winner got to face Alexa Bliss, and this is when both Sasha and Bayley were baby faces, and you got to see that little aggressive side come out of Bayley. Now, unfortunately, Bayley didn't get to go on and face Alexa at SummerSlam because that was when the Nia angle happened and Bayley separated her shoulder, and that's how you ended up getting Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss at that year's SummerSlam. I believe that's 2017. But that Monday after my birthday, I got to sit there and watch a dream match and watch them go at it for the number one contenders match, and it's a really fucking good match that they had on TV. They had no business being that good, but Bayley ended up triumphing, countering Sasha, rolling her up in a 1-2-3. Pull it up on YouTube when y'all got time. Sasha versus Bayley, number one contenders match 2017, July 17th, around that time, 2017.
Yeah, that's actually a really good one.
I'm a cheat. Last year's WrestleMania. Just because I got to see Bayley, Trish, Lita all in the same ring.
Becky, that was good shit right there.
That right there, man.
That's a good one. I never thought I would see that, especially at a WrestleMania.
Yeah. Thank you, Bayley. Thank you, Trish.
Thank you, Trish.
I don't know. Her match at Evolution though also stuck out to me when it was her, Natty, and Sasha going up against the Riot Squad. It was the first time because that was a good one because you know what it was for me. What made me stick out and pay attention to that match because I thought that Riot Squad had trouble chemistry wise until I saw them go up against the three of them and Natalia. Natalia's the goat. Like
she's the boat. The boat.
The best.
The best there is.
We did a Natalia appreciation night, didn't we?
Did we?
I don't think
We've done
so.
so many appreciation nights.
We're definitely putting that in the notes.
But they put on really, but they definitely put on great chemistry with all three of those ladies. I feel like Bayley. Again, you can't make me dislike Bayley. Bayley kind of worked hard, but it was like a hint of her working with like a team again. And that was again before the whole golden role model era. So I was like, okay, maybe her and Sasha can like finally be one again because they weren't one that completely yet. Like they were giving us snippets, but they weren't one yet. So I enjoyed that match at Evolution.
Oh yeah, that was the one where like I think it was either Liv or Ruby was about to do an elbow drop on Sasha, and Bayley crawls on top of Sasha to like shield her.
It was Liv.
Yeah,
that was with
I remember
Liv.
that match.
It was good.
I was like,
you saw like a tidbit, like y'all wasn't with each other, but like, listen, you took the bump for her, so I mean, are y'all cool?
It's like, god damn it, y'all went to counseling for weeks.
We can watch out. We can invite both of y'all to the party. We ain't gotta have two different birthday parties.
We watched y'all in counseling for weeks. Get back together, you two.
Yeah, remember when they tried to do that? Do y'all remember when they tried to do that? The only
time I ever cared about the counseling sessions on WWE.
Because it didn't hit like I think they expected it to hit, like with the Daniel Bryan and Kane ones, but it was them going at it. I think the only thing that really hit during that time was when Bayley attacked Sasha back, or was it Sasha that attacked Bayley in the locker room, and they like fucked each other up. And then like nothing happened after that. It was like they never
still trying to emulate that to this day.
Yeah. No,
still trying to emulate that to this day.
Seriously.
With freaking Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin breaking out off his walls and shit. Listen, you can't outdo the doer. Like in the NXT parking lot is just that. Like that whole moment between Sasha and him walked so that Roxanne and Lola Lopez can like attack each other backstage and crawl. Like it's good. You can't
Lola Vice show.
Yeah, Lola Vice. They can't outdo the doer.
They gonna get on us. So. See, you make it say we all look alike.
No.
That's not what we're saying. That's culturally inappropriate.
That is something we would never do.
We wouldn't do that. Even though they do that to us, but we ain't doing it.
Yo, I hate
one cool dog. I like the bob that Bayley had. Even though I love Bayley in general, and her in long hair is just Bayley's gorgeous. But when she had that bob, it was something different. I was like, I didn't know you could pull this shit off. But once she evolved it to the role model look that she had in the pandemic era, it was like, yo, this is something different. But it's like, you know how like Nia Long is just so beautiful to where like she pulls off multiple like hair looks where she hasn't had one that's looked bad on her. That's kind of what Bayley did when she cut her hair, and it's like I didn't know I liked the bob, but then I was like, yo, I fuck with this. This is a good look on you too.
Yeah, I felt this. It actually took me a while to get used to it because I was
If
like,
I
this
can,
length is,
I know we're talking about Bayley. If we could talk about Pam really quick. When I used to
of
watch old
course.
Shimmer episodes, her matches with Mercedes Martinez and with Mia Yim, Google it. It's on YouTube. I think one of them is Shimmer Volume 97, and another one is Shimmer Volume 67. Those two matches she had were specifically, I believe, because I think a year after that, she tried out for WWE and made it. So if you have a chance to look at that, you will understand why I was frustrated with Hugger Bailey, because I'm like, bitch, like you be killing these hoes. Why are we doing this? Why? I get that you got to appeal to the kids, but if you can watch those matches, it's Shimmer Mercedes, it's her versus Mercedes Martinez, and then her with Mia Yim. Those matches eat to the point when I heard that Mia Yim was coming back, I was like, please have them wrestle a couple of matches together, because I know that would eat. That would feed the children and
I can
starve the
only
soul.
imagine.
So just an outside Bailey
Yeah,
reference is you gotta look
that
up
would
her Shimmer matches. They're just as good as her WWE matches. She earned her spot in WWE because of those matches.
Yeah. I
So you,
I've seen clips, and it's that aggression that we talked about before. Oh, and that hunger where it's like she had no choice but to stand out.
And Serena, she fought Serena Deeb. Her fighting Serena Deeb. And you know Serena Deeb is a professor.
I can imagine. Yeah. I'm like, she took them to school. Okay, so I have another question then. Without mentioning one of the four horsewomen, who are some of your favorite opponents for Bayley? Who does she have really good in-ring chemistry with?
Alexa Bliss.
Asuka.
Ooh.
Bayley Asuka has never ever missed, and every time they face each other, you see another side of Bayley where like she can really get physical when she wants to. But Bayley Asuka, take my money every fucking time.
I think her and Alexa Bliss made good tag team partners, just solely because of the fact that when they were both the like Blue Brand days, especially, they were really holding down the fort in their feud. Yeah. They were really holding it down. I think as far as if we're gonna make a Dance with the Stars WWE and put two people together, you would put them together to be dance partners. They were really good together, chemistry wise too, and never missed a step for me.
Okay. I would have said Asuka as well. If I had to choose.
I would say my honorable mention without mentioning any of the horsewomen. That stuff with her and Bianca was really good. Fucking.
Oh yeah. Oh, 1000%.
The Extreme Rules match was really good. The Saudi match was really fucking good. Like she shined up Bianca. That's the thing we forget on Bianca's trajectory because we always kind of skip to her winning the Rumble and then the Mania match with her and Sasha at WrestleMania 37. We forget that feud with Bayley right after Bayley lost that title to Sasha, where she started putting the backpack on Bianca and getting that rocket ready for the Rumble.
Yep.
And even after Bianca becomes champion, what was her first feud? Bayley.
Yeah.
And if she didn't blow her fucking knee out, I would have really liked to see what that Money in the Bank match was going to be.
Same. Yeah. Shout out to Carmella. Just filling the gaps when they need.
I mean, salute.
Salute
to her.
She had a really good match. What was it? I think I have to remember it because it was around my birthday, Seindole. It was around your birthday, right? Her match with Ember Moon.
Oh, there.
Her match with Ember Moon. It was during it was the SmackDown. It was around my birthday. It was the April 21st version of SmackDown. Her and Ember Moon fucking cooked.
They did. They absolutely did.
I mean, and that's why I will protect Athena at all costs because her and Bayley
Cook.
cooked.
Mhm.
Well done.
Cooking
Give me
like they
my
was in the
steak. It still
kitchen.
left me some juice in the steak, honey.
Well done, steak.
Well done steak. No, not
That
well
was
done.
that was
you a
like a
savage
medium
then.
steak.
It was like a
Yeah.
medium.
Well done, you a savage. we eat mediums in this household. I need some red in that meat.
I'm gonna need some
Yeah,
flavor and nerve.
I need the juice to be left over.
I need some juices. Question, because you guys are talking about like how she was able to work with Bianca, which is not, there's a method to the madness. It's a reason why, because Bianca was green at one point. Like, let's be real.
Yeah.
Like, she had star power, but she
Yeah,
has
the
some work to
sass.
do in the ring. So is she sort of like that next phase of like the Natalias of the world, where it's like, okay, you want to get some practice and really learn from the like learning tree? Like, is Bayley that person that she could just have a
Well,
good match
right
with anyone?
now, her, Natalia, and with the return, Naomi are really the only locker room veterans left. When you think about it, if I'm missing anybody, let me know. But it's her, Natalia, and with Naomi now returning, they're really the only veterans left. So, we talked about on Fan Club. No, sorry, we talked about on Watch What Happens NXT about how if an athlete leaves injured and they come back, there's always going to be somebody younger to work with to sharpen their blade. That's what Bayley has had to do, and that's what she did for Bianca. She helped Bianca sharpen her blade. In my opinion,
I
I think
see
she's
that.
done it. I think that Becky is. I think Becky and Bayley did that for each other when both. It looked like Charlotte wasn't doing too much, and Sasha had left the first time. They helped sharpen each other's blade. I think that's where Bayley sits now. Is like she's a blade sharpener. I think when you're a blade sharpener in this business, honey, your longevity and respect goes far and wide.
Right.
Mhm.
I 100% agree with that.
I can't top that.
I think
That's good.
same. But being able to work with Bayley, with like if I was like a new WWE superstar and I had the opportunity to work with her, whether it's in the PC or as a tag team in her faction, whatever the case, I'm doing it. I want to talk to really quick about, because I love this moment just because NXT, she kind of helped build that brand. Like when I was hearing about NXT, it was in the context of her and Sasha in the Four Horsewomen. Like, it wasn't even like Seth Rollins or anything like that. It was a lot of what the women were doing. How did you guys feel those times where her and Sasha went back to NXT? Like it just felt like she was coming home. Even getting ready for the Royal Rumble, she visited NXT PC just to kind of like bring, center herself. But how do you guys feel about her NXT legacy and, her and the history of that?
I thought it was special. I think it was real good for them to, just uplift that brand. It just proves everything that they are. Like, they love the business, love women's wrestling, but just overall want to see the advancement of the business. And I thought that was special right there.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that she definitely, like I said, I stand by what I said. She's definitely somebody you're gonna look back in the history books, like the way that people respect Randy Orton so much. Like Randy Orton, he has so much of a tumultuous past, but you can't mention the history books without mentioning that every single hand that has touched Randy Orton has not missed. Like to the point where, yeah, you got a point where people were recycled way too much, and Bayley kind of had that moment too, where people were recycled way too much. But at the same time, like, are you really complaining about how much they recycle? Because their matches never disappointed. Her moments never disappointed.
Sure.
So when you look back at like if you will ever create compilation DVDs again, there's not one. Even if you look on Peacock right now, and you look at the Road to WrestleMania or the Road to Elimination Chamber or the Road to Royal Rumble or Money in the Bank, there's not one missing. There's not one clip in there without Bayley. Not one.
Right.
Not one. And you look at NXT moments, not one thing without Bayley. And that's what makes a superstar. That what makes a legend. And that's what makes a legend.
1,000%. 1,000%. I loved being able to go back and celebrate some of these moments because Bailey's one of those people that kind of feels like they're always around. So you don't really take a second and be like, wow, like we really appreciate her. You know, I missed her a lot when she was gone. She's one of those people I think is just a WWE guy. Like, you know, and I am one of those fickle wrestling fans where I say shit and it just like the opposite happens or I change my mind because I was like, Naomi is a WWE girl. She's not gonna wrestle nowhere else. And she went and did her thing and came back. I do feel like Bayley will just be in WWE and that's it. Like I don't see her personally. But like I mean that in like the best way possible. But what I love most, and I mentioned in the beginning of the show, you know, celebrating her Royal Rumble win, my favorite Royal Rumble win of all time, just because it just felt so deserving and so deserved. She didn't need to be on the poster for majority of people online and in real life wanting her to win, knowing that it was her time to win. Now being on this road to WrestleMania and knowing she's never had a singles match. Every 4 horsewomen has had a singles match at WrestleMania. Bayley has not. So knowing that she's can be winning the championship at Mania, like I don't think there will be a bigger pop. Like people are going to be so excited for that. So I'm glad that we were able to take a second and use tonight's fan club as a way to honor Bayley.
I feel like Triple H summed it up perfectly when he said that there's some people, like what he said about her at the press conference was the most beautiful thing I think he said about any woman on the roster. Like the fact that she felt like even we've just listed a boatload of accomplishments for her, and even after all those accomplishments she still feels like she's somebody that gets lost in the sauce and lost in the conversation. That blows my mind to hear him say that, and I think that's what she felt, because even with the little social media jabs of her being left off the poster and all that stuff, like it really, like from the outside looking in, I would think that like you bust your ass, you're still here, you haven't walked out, you've barely taken a day off, you've done all this stuff, and you've put out all these accomplishments, and you still feel like you're just like a smoke on the wheel, like you're not that important.
Right.
So for her to Royal Rumble win and possibly, and I think she's gonna win at WrestleMania, for this WrestleMania win to be in the one of the cards, I hope she never doubts that ever again. Like the fact that we can sit here and have a whole 2-hour conversation and appreciate the hell out of her, I hope she never feels that way again.
Same.
And we're gonna
so
be there live to watch her get her fucking moment in Philly,
Right.
and really get her flowers. Like she's won at WrestleMania before. You go back to WrestleMania 33 where she won that 4-way elimination match, but this is about to hit way different compared to that.
Yeah,
it really is.
1,000%. I'm so excited for it. I'm so excited for just the start of this new phase of her career. It's very exciting. Thank you guys for joining me in Bayley Appreciation Night. This is a wrestling fan club. We talk about a variety of things, but this is one of those topics that like I was so excited about because I'm personally a huge Bayley fan. So I was excited to do it. Rakarsha, that's my favorite. That's one of my favorite moments as well. I want to thank Rakarsha and the rest of the VIPs in the comments, all of our VIP members in the club. We love doing this every Wednesday. Let people know. Let your other wrestling fans know to come into the fan club, come in and talk your shit. Because it's all about what you guys have to say in the comments. So I appreciate you guys. I don't know what next week's show is going to be about yet. But I would like... Yes, and then I would like to possibly close out the month and highlight some Black wrestlers for Black History Month.
Oh yeah.
I like your shirt, Brian. I think it's a 4-year wear.
Last year's exclusive.
Yes, Black History Month exclusive. I like that shirt a lot. Shout out to 4-year wear. Thanks, Keith. We appreciate that. We love when you come through. So yeah, so we'll figure out what the programming will be for next week. Make sure you follow those wrestling girls everywhere. If you have a topic you want us to discuss, we're more than happy to take your suggestions. Just tweet us using hashtags TWG Fan Club. I like all these wonderful moments are coming at the end of fan club. Yes, every time. Her laugh is amazing. Her beef with Michael Cole. All these fan clubs end up being like
the way I appreciated her beef with
because,
Michael Cole.
yeah, because there's always just
I
so
fucking
much,
hated him back then.
right? Because there's always like so much that we never have time to get into. So we'll definitely revisit Bayley Appreciation Night, maybe after she wins the title at WrestleMania. I don't know. So before I let the crew, you know what, you guys close out. Let me know where to find you guys, and then I'll just update everyone on what's happening in the TWG universe. Where can everyone find you guys?
Well, you can find me on all social media platforms at It's Justin Rich. You can find me here Wednesday nights live on Those Wrestling Girls Twitch channel for TWG Fan Club with myself and these three beautiful, illustrious, intelligent co-hosts of mine. You can find me Tuesday nights, Twitter Spaces on Black Wrestling's handle for Turnbuckle Talk, aka The Buckle, myself, Mimi, and Corey. We talk all things wrestling. You can catch me from time to time on True Heel Heat Sports and True Heel Heat Wrestling. Both of those channels are located on YouTube, where we talk sports, wrestling, and all that fun stuff. We here, we outside, we active. Salute to Pammy.
Yamala.
Love you, girl. For real, love you, girl.
You can find me at Brian H. Waters on all social media platforms.
That's it.
Yeah, we at the time.
Oh my God. As per our usual, this is your honorary wrestling girl, Seindole. You can catch me every Tuesday for Watch What Happens NXT. This week I was joined by KRISTA B, and we recapped the epic finale to WWE NXT Vengeance Day. And on the road to Stand and Deliver, we'll be discussing what's going on with NXT every Tuesday at 6 o'clock. You can always catch me here, of course, with three best friends that anybody can have every Wednesday on Twitch with TWG Fan Club. And again, rest in piss to all my ops. And I'm done. Follow me on my social media platforms. Thank you.
Love it, love it, love it. So just some quick plugs on Patreon. A new sound off, 2 new sound offs KRISTA B just dropped, and it's all about The Rock's road to WrestleMania. We just did a new episode of Where WWE Meets Pop Culture, and that is on YouTube and everywhere you get your favorite podcast. This is a really fun show because WWE and the mainstream intersect the most on the road to WrestleMania. So this show has been very exciting. We talk about everything that happens outside of the ring, like Trish Stratus at the NHL All-Star Game, how many songs The Weeknd did, the WrestleMania theme, all that kind of stuff. Rhea Ripley doing her first Make-A-Wish. So we talk about all those sorts of things. So make sure you check that out. Then, of course, after Becky Lynch drops her much anticipated memoir, The Man, Not Your Average Girl, we will be hosting 2 book club sessions virtually, exclusively on Patreon. It is free, but you do need to become a patron, so make sure you sign up there. And if you want to support, you could throw us $1 a month. There's a lot of exclusive content on there. If you like KRISTA B sound offs, you won't regret it. If you attended Bella Book Club, then you are going to love Becky Book Club. And then, of course, check out Brian and I's Loving WWE recap. We binged all 8 episodes, and then we did an immediate recap. So you get our immediate reaction, our immediate feelings on it. Bianca and Montez enjoyed it and posted it on their Instagram. So that is live on YouTube. And it's going to make you want to watch the show. So watch the show, watch our recap, and then watch the show again. Because it's a very easy binge. 8 episodes on Hulu. It's so, so good. And follow me, Queen P.R, everywhere on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok at Queen3_PR. And we will see everybody next week.
Bye-bye.
Usually I time that with the outro.
Bye, two-timers.